Welcome to the Church Mabus radio show. It's Friday night. We're gonna go out and hunt some buffaloes in the snow. It's been snowing in Florida. It's
Yeah,
gone
welcome to
now.
the club, sir.
You're listening to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. And it doesn't do it often here. Someone quoted a few years it happened, but it seems like a sporadic kind of thing. But it was a lot. It stuck. And it accumulated. So I got to pee in the snow, made boobies in the snow, drew dicks in the snow, all kinds of fun stuff. It was just play with the dogs in the snow, and it was weird having that much snow in Florida. It really was. It felt weird, but I like it. My big
What do
thing
y'all get,
was
about 8-9 inches?
I don't even know, but it covered the crap out of everything. I was more like kill the bugs, because there's been a bad flea thing that's been insane, like crazy. So that was, kill those little bastards and kill whatever else. But basically, we're back from the dead. Our last show. What was our last show? Was that Eric? That was someone else, wasn't it? Yeah, Eric was our last show, right?
Yeah.
And what was our? No, this is our. Hold on.
This is the third of the first 3 of the year.
Okay, yeah, we had Eric on about the Antichrist Trumpelgooch, and we had Till James Glenn on, the actor and stuntman. He's been on trauma films and stuff like that. That was really good.
Yeah,
Now we got the groovy Wild Trees back.
Yeah.
Many times, and next week when Wham comes back, it's Mark Nakamp, the energy magic dude. And then Rick Osmond, that's Ohio Valley. Some book, 7 Bears, like archaeological stuff. February 14th, that's Preston Dennett, UFOs. Samuel Chong is the 21st. Silas Dunn is the 28th. You'll be there for that one. It's a guy that he just did a Devil's Gate Western comic, Weird West, on Kickstarter. We'll be talking about movies and Weird West and Westerns and craziness. I think his buddy's coming on that illustrates too. March 7 is Edgar. He's acting nuts. And then March 7th, Carter Bouchard. Like, I don't even understand what he's so this dog. Like, everything's like the earth's tilted on its axis and everything's going batshit crazy.
Hefty has a wound on his backside.
Our dog Hefty, the black a black dog that's a male, a birdhouse outside fell and hurt his butt and made him a wound on it. So Edgar's been going crazy trying to screw it. Like the weirdest thing I've ever seen, as well as trying to do the cats and other female dogs and other male dogs. It's like he's like Pan's little mini me or something running around here just constantly. It's like, do I need to cut your nuts off? I don't want to, but I guess I might have to if you don't chill. Let's not get into my nut clipping. But Odin's meatball. But as far as so it's not something I like to do, to anything. It's horrible. But we just did it to the cats, and I think they're still pissed off, and now they're having a poop revolution and a retaliation. But it seems like everything's just crazy, like off kilter. So anyway, what have you been up to, Wild Trees? What's going on?
I started teaching, and I started leading some hikes, some educational hikes. I came up with these programs called Bug Safari. So Bug Safari is a program at a state park, and I tell the guests that show up, I'm like, look, what we're going to do is we're going to go walk for an hour on a trail. And once we get on the trail, there's going to be bugs above us, below us, next to us, literally like 360 degrees. So try to find whatever bug you can, and we'll talk about it. I got a net. I got these little cubes with a little magnifying glass. And so that's been a real success. And then I have another program called Nocturnal Insect Mission. And that one we set up at nighttime. We set up near a body of water at the state park, and then we put up a white sheet with a big industrial light. We go there at night, and that attracts all the insects. And then that's fun. We just catch them, and we look at the cubes. And then at night, I also do other things. Like I have a flashlight that's infrared or black light, and the black light will glow if there's scorpions and if there's millipedes. Millipedes' legs actually glow, and that's really fun. Apparently, what happens with
centipedes also?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Well, centipedes, I don't know. I don't know about centipedes. I know about millipedes.
I think they do too. They have the same kind of chitin or whatever their toes are made out of. They have the same kind of feet.
Yeah, and I think what's happening, I read about it. I think what's happening is that the composition, the physical structure of the chitin, which makes the outside of insects and millipedes and centipedes, a lot of animals, the structure of that outer shell, when the infrared lights, the black light hits it, it reflects it back at a certain wavelength, and that's why they glow. I'm not sure if there's a deeper meaning, like if it's used for interspecies or biological.
Well, I know that there were some optical studies, optical studies on insect discolorations under black light and other UV and they've determined that it's the same as color for us color creatures. It defines to the other predators and prey which ones are dangerous and which ones are not. So the poisonous and stingers, they have certain patterns, and the ones that are not, they mimic those patterns to just like we have our birds and things have different colors to say that I'm dangerous or I'm not dangerous, or to even sometimes like the snake that mimics the dangerous snake, the coral snake.
Right.
Same colors, but they're in a different pattern. So one will kill you, and the other one will just bite the hell out of you if it gets scared enough. That's what they've determined. Is that it's just the same thing as that. It's just it tells creatures that see in that spectrum stay away or come close.
Very cool. Yeah, and I was going to say, so talking about millipedes, I've been looking. There's a lot of millipede species out here. One of them is a really beautiful, like it's kind of like a chunkier, like plated carapace, the millipede, and it's got these beautiful red markings. And I looked into it. So apparently that one. Well, first of all, when it has a bright color, I don't know about the infrared, but when it's got a bright color that we can see, it's called aposematic. Aposematic are bright colors that indicate poison or venom. Mm-hmm. So that millipede species that's beautiful, actually, when it gets upset, it releases cyanide. And that's not good. So that's pretty cool. But yeah. And then the other thing I do at night is I get a really big headlamp. So I'm at the park with all my visitors, and I kind of I play around with them, try to make it like Willy Wonka and the Bug Factory, whatever. And so I tell them, I'm like, hey, do you guys want to see the shiniest thing in the forest? I was like, yeah. So then I get this light, right? And I put it on my head. And I'm like, let's walk a little bit. And in the trail, I kind of do this weird thing where I move my head. And then what we'll all see it. We'll see these diamonds glistening in the forest. And I'm like, you see it? You see it? That's the shiniest thing in the forest. And then we'll get closer and closer. And I'll poke my finger right at it. And it'll be this big wolf spider. So spiders at the back of their eyes, they have this thing called a tapidium lucidium. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Tapidium lucidium. But it's a thin layer behind their 8 eyes. And what it does is it reflects light. It bounces off light. It helps them see at night because they're nighttime hunters. And it looks like diamonds in the light. And then what's really cool is that those spiders are pretty big, pretty scary looking. They're not aggressive to humans. And they're very brave. So that's really cool. So that's why I could get really close to them. I could just poke them like right there. They won't even flinch. And it's a very impressive little trick I do. So I've been doing those 2 programs, and they've been going pretty well at the state park.
Spiders scare me to death, and I don't know why. I like what they do, and I love how they do it. I just don't want them to do it anywhere near me, nor do I want them coming anywhere near me. But if I go on one of those adventures with you, I knew that trick about the spiders because someone said that. I think it was probably you on the last time we were talking about this because right after we talked about it, and it had to have been you. I went outside to my backyard with a flashlight trying to find if there were any in my backyard. I was going to death and get them out. I didn't find any. We do have rabbits though. That's cool.
Nice. And this is another area where I'm curious because I think the light matters. I don't know. I need to do experiments. This is a perfect question for science because sometimes I'll have a different flashlight and I won't see anything. But it could be that those nights are those spiders. or it could be the type of light and the position and the intensity
Or the
of the light.
angle, be the wrong
The
angle.
angle.
All
Yeah.
kinds,
So
all kinds of reasons.
what I found for sure works, for sure, is a super strong LED headlamp right here. I'm talking a big old fat battery pack. That thing, my brother-in-law gave me one, and that one works like a charm and like lights up everywhere. And you know what's also funny is that, to me at least, the size of the shine doesn't really correlate to the size of the spider. So basically, they all look the same size, and you could go up to it, it'll be a little spider, or it could be a huge one. So that's just a little interesting anecdote, but maybe it's me. My vision's not that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, those things are pretty fun, and I'm actually seeing a lot of insects that I've never seen before in my life. I've never even heard of. I mean, literally, I became friends with this guy who studies birds, right? And he's a bird expert, so he does programs at the state park. He's from Liverpool. He's got a cool accent, but he does programs at the park about birds, and he's really cool. He sets up this like telescope-looking thing, and we look at the vultures pissing on themselves to cool themselves off in the sun. Very cool stuff. And then he went to my program, and we talked a little bit about biodiversity. And so there's a few hundred species of birds in Texas, and there's like several thousand insect species in Texas. So that's why I'm seeing new things. That's why sometimes I'll see an insect, even though I'm an entomologist, and I've never even heard of it, because there are literally millions and millions of species, as opposed to birds, where there's thousands and thousands of species of birds.
Yeah, there are far more insect, and far more diverse insect life than there is mammalian and other, macrobiology, if you will.
Absolutely, mammals like us, we're probably the least abundant. There's the least amount of species. Mammals, reptiles. There's probably more reptiles, I'm guessing, than mammals. And birds, but yeah, when you go to microscopic, I think that's when you get to the largest number. I'm talking about like microscopic animals. There's probably untold numbers of them.
Because so many of them can fit on a pinhead. It's like it exponentially larger.
Absolutely, and when I'm on the trail, I talk a lot about hidden worlds. I'm like, look, we're looking at some macro size animals. These are animals that live in our world, like an insect, a grasshopper, but around us there are several hidden worlds. One of them is leaf litter. So if you ever see leaves that are just on the ground, well, if you zoom in with a microscope, there's a whole galaxy, a whole universe of little animals. Some of them are they look like scorpions. They look like microscopic scorpions, but they're not actually scorpions. That's the weird part. They're their own type of animal. And in order to catch those, what you do is you get this funnel made of canvas, and at the bottom of the funnel there's a cup. You just put all the leaf litter on top, and then the little cup's got alcohol or something, and then all the animals will fall there. You look at them. That's one hidden world, leaf litter. The other hidden world that I'm more familiar with is lichen and moss. So lichen, you'll see it growing on trees, and it's like a combination of a fungus, like a mushroom, and a plant, like an algae. So lichen has a outside body, a rigid body. It looks like little leaves hanging on the bark, and that's made of a fungus, but it's green. So inside it, there's an algae, which is green with chlorophyll, and it produces energy. So it's this kind of like symbiotic relationship where the fungus provides structure and the algae provides energy. And then this little lichen patch, it's like a sponge. So when it rains, it absorbs water and it holds it. And when it rains, all these animals come out of hibernation, and it's another little universe. So that's where water bears live, or tardigrades, rotifers, protozoans, nematodes, etc. So there's just all these hidden worlds. What was that?
Hydra. What else?
Oh yeah.
What's the one that looks like a penis?
That's a rotifer, maybe. It's probably a rotifer.
No,
not a rotifer.
Starts with a P, I think.
Protozoans? No.
It's a penis.
Paramecium?
Paramecium. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got a triangular head and two eyes.
Yeah.
Or two discolorations that are not eyes, but we perceive them as eyes.
Detachable penis. That's what it is.
They look like little microscopic.
Detachable penis. Well, hey, have you ever seen Microcosmos? I could watch that 1 billion times.
I have seen it. Yeah, way back in the day when it first came out, I got turned on to it and I saw it. It's a great.
Watch it again sometime.
It's a French film.
A very cool movie
really
that goes on with your microcosms that you just explained, like the leaf litter and stuff in the tardigrades and whatnot. If you've never seen Animals Are Beautiful People Too, or The Gods Must Be Crazy, the same guy made those movies. And animals are beautiful people too. The same guy from The God Something Crazy that has the Coke bottle. He's trying to save his village by taking it to the edge of the earth and throwing it away. Anyway, this tribe in the Serengeti, it's only a documentary about the animals in this tribe that speaks and clicks in the Serengeti. They show it when it rains, like moments after the rain goes away. I mean, like literally minutes after the clouds flow away, plants and stuff start to grow, and it's like immediate. And it's a very cool show that this just for like an hour or so after it rains, because it's so it's so rare, but this lush area around the Serengeti River grows up for a few months and then it dies away. Then
what's the show called again?
Animals Are Beautiful People Too. And they show this river valley, the Serengeti River Valley, when there's nothing there, and then they show it rain, and they do a fast motion, and everything grows, and then you see the plant life grow, and then also during that time, the elephants get drunk. It's really cool, but. No, seriously, the elephants get drunk. I'm not making that up. The elephants get.
I believe you.
Monkeys.
There's a whole book about that.
But the
animals.
The microcosm of the plant life and the trees growing around the river while during the wet season, the rainy season is just fantastic. And then the rainy season goes away, and it all the next day is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So hot there, it's decimated. You should check that out. It's a very cool movie.
I will.
So all these bugs and stuff that you're interacting with. Are they acting any different about, earth changes and things like that? Hey, Mr. Meow. And, are just carrying on as usual? I mean, I know there's a lot of changes going on with everything right now, from migration patterns to, just everything. But are you noticing anything different or out of the ordinary because of what's going on as far as the times we're living in with all this stuff?
That's a good question. I haven't noticed anything. I think in order to notice something, I would have to do like continuous field work, or I would have to dig into the research. But I'm sure things are changing. Some of my research has dealt with that. It's just it was back in grad school. What is interesting is one of my biggest interviews I did was with this guy named Fred Roll. Maybe you guys have heard of him. He's got a subarctic Alaska Sasquatch channel.
I'll have to check it out.
And he's in Alaska. Basically, I asked him the question. So he lives in Alaska. He's an Alaska native. I was like, look, bro. I was like, have you noticed any changes in the weather? And he was like, yes, I have. So the example he gave was the Iditarod. So the Iditarod is like a famous serum run that happened back in the day with like sled dogs. So the Iditarod, I guess there were some kids that were sick with diphtheria or something. And the only way to get the medicine to them was with these sled dogs. And they had the serum. So now every year they do like a commemorative Iditarod race. And he told me that, they used to do it in the one city every year, the same time of year, but because that's when it really happened in winter. But now if they try doing that every year, then there's no snow anymore. So they have to set it up like they used to be. So back in the day, you would set it up and it would be snowing just like that. But now it's like there's no snow and they have to truck in a bunch of snow to make it look like it's actually snowy. And they take their photos and then they actually start the actual race somewhere else where it is snowing. So in Alaska's kind of an extreme example. You see things more clearly because it's closer to the pole. So yeah, if you talk to an Alaska native, this guy's not woke at all. This guy's like lives in Alaska, he almost got killed by Sasquatch, for Christ's sake. But he basically is like, yeah, climate change is real. It's pretty dramatic in Alaska. It just takes a little bit longer to see it in maybe the lower 48 or whatever.
I know a lot of tribes have said things about the earth tilting and things being different, and things like native tribes have been talking about it, and I've seen articles about it and stuff. So, and there's definitely.
Well, they recently said that what was it? The most innermost core. Not only, it just recently in the last year or so stopped, and then began spinning in the opposite direction as the rest of the planet, which. If that's real, it's strange. How does that happen? And what does that mean? Is that the rest of the things that are spinning the opposite way, are they going to slow down and stop and then catch up to the inner part and go? And what is that going to be? Are we going to come, and we get kicked off and then it spins around the other way? So it's weird. What's funny is that this is really morbid,
It's potentially the most morbid thing I could possibly say, but I'm about 99% sure this planet's going to have a mass extinction because we've already had several. I always forget. I need to memorize. I think it's 7.
There's
7.
They're cyclical and about every
Yeah.
36 to 32,000 years apart, and we're overdue for one.
Did you see Keanu Reeves on the new Ancient Apocalypse? That was pretty interesting. Graham Hancock, he's on that second season that's on Netflix. Ancient Apocalypse.
I heard about that.
It's good. It's worth the watch. But he's basically saying, that these events have happened, and there's definitely like some super civilization that's been here before, longer than any of us knew. Or they'll admit. And first season kind of seemed like he was hinting towards giants, but they didn't say nothing about giants this season. So maybe he kind of moved on from that to be more serious. But yeah, now he's got the Keanu with him in the episode. So it's worth watching, though. It's good.
I got something about that ancient civilization. First of all, I want to tell everybody, please subscribe to my channel. Go to YouTube, type in biologist wild trees. Go to Google, type biologist wild trees. Do it right now. Do it right now. No, I'm just kidding. But on that channel, I posted a video. Okay, so it's about this ancient civilization, which I think is very possible. So, Hal Puthoff is a PhD scientist. He's associated with Skinwalker Ranch. He's associated with a lot of big. He did remote viewing, which is like remote viewing is like basically psychic abilities for the government. Anyway, he wrote a scientific paper called Ultra Terrestrials, I believe, and on my channel I reviewed it. And so he included this little snippet of information. So apparently he was citing another author in his research paper called Nick Redfern. So Nick Redfern wrote a book called The NASA Conspiracies, I think. And Nick Redfern talked to this ex-NASA contractor who works on the Gemini project. Okay, that's just all the background. Basically, it sounds like Hal Puthoff believes, based on this story by the ex-NASA contractor, that there's evidence to support that there's a small band of technologically advanced a race of some intelligence on the planet, and they're very concerned with all the wars, environmental degradation, and nuclear war, and they present themselves as extraterrestrials because even though they're technologically advanced, they feel vulnerable because there's not a lot of them. So they don't want to say the truth. They don't want to straight up say, hey, we're from Earth, we've been here longer than you, and we don't like what you're doing. So they pretend to be extraterrestrial, but they've been trying to influence our culture in some way. So it sounds like basically some UFO encounters could be not UFOs from another planet or another dimension or another time. They're actually this ancient civilization, which is the basis for Atlantis. And that to me seems like it holds some weight to it. I would not be surprised if that were true.
There's quite a few good awesome working theories about that. We talked about it in all kinds of different forums that we're kind of arrogant to think that we're the first, we're the only, in the vastness of the universe. I mean, it's mathematically impossible for us to be alone. Mathematically, it's impossible. People just can't see that. I don't understand. I mean, even like well-educated scientific minds. My father, for example, very highly religious man towards the end of his life, but was it a scientist that did top secret work with the Navy and probably developed the not only some of the sonar we used for a while, it's no longer being used. We have better stuff, but there was a sonic weapon that was developed, and I guarantee you his company and firm were involved with that. But I believe in God and Jesus, and I'm like, how can you believe in Jesus, Dad? I mean, and you don't believe in aliens? I mean, do the math. You were a math. He was a math teacher in college. Do the math, buddy. It's impossible. We're alone.
And I'm sorry. I was just going to say real quick, what is it? Kawani Leporitis has said that there's like a hairy race of people that are the ancient ones. And then there's Bigfoot, which is kind of like the more ape-like. But these ancient ones have been around. And the thing that's interesting about that, we may have talked about it before, is there's a lot of paintings of weird hairy people and stuff like that are really weird. So this race may be a little different than what we are. Maybe they're the same. I don't know. Maybe they shave themselves now. I don't know. But anyway, there's definitely evidence that something's here. And then with Skinwalker Ranch, the show, I mean, they're basically saying that that's what's happening. The thing's interfering with their tech. Sometimes I wonder if it's China, but also or some foreign nation or something. But there's something here, and they're showing it. And if you've seen Alien Investigation with George Knapp on Netflix, that gets pretty damn weird with a lot of spooks too. A new series on Netflix as well with Knapp that's very Skinwalker Ranchish. And they go down to South America, and there was a big UFO incident of all the UFOs coming out of the water down there attacking residents. They talked to a lady with scars. The military had a firefight with it and stuff like that. So there's definitely, I mean, there may be a lot of different sects here that are not just the ones you're talking about. There may be, a lot of different.
Oh yeah, I think that's
places.
true. I think the truth is we're being visited by several intelligent, non-human time travelers. Before I forget, I was going to mention. So I'm teaching as well right now, and I was teaching this kid, and we had to go over the novel 1984, and I had never read it, but we only had one class period, and he was on. I remember he was on chapter 2, book 2, and I was like, "Look, I'm just gonna read you the whole thing real fast, and we're gonna answer your questions." So I read it, and I got a pretty good sense of it, and it made me think about reality manipulation by governments. So it made me think about how our reality and what we consider normal is completely manipulated by the government. And it should be very flexible, actually, because I kept thinking, like, okay, so back 70 years ago, the government started ridiculing UFOs and aliens. And now that's our reality. But that's arbitrary. Like, if they would have just said the truth about Roswell, then our reality, the world we live in now, would be very flexible to that idea, and it wouldn't be weird. You wouldn't be cuckoo for thinking that. And to me, and I think that's what actually happened. So it made me, like, the book made me realize, like, what we consider reality and like what is normal is completely fabricated. Like, it's just a construct built by other people or other races or other aliens. And I don't know, it was pretty eye-opening to think about.
Sorry, I muted.
Yeah,
I'm having to because animals are going nuts. But it's interesting that these shows are kind of showing this. Why do they think that they need to show us this? You would think. I mean, they've been trying to keep it secret, but I mean, they basically on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, they're going to these other ranches and the similar phenomenon's happening, and they're doing it with all these government spooks there as well. So I'm just wondering what their plan is with this. They're up to something through a lot of these shows lately, showing us this stuff. But my biggest thing is, as I've seen some of these different races with my own eyes. I've seen the cloaked beings in the woods that were very small with a black box that a cat jumped towards them and they vanished. One could say they might have been like part of the fairy realm or something like that. But they're here. It's just figuring out. I guess they all have their own intentions. And then you have Robert Salas, the guy with the the Air Force pilot that's enlisted that put out the whole book about UFOs shutting down the nukes. He's been on the show a long time ago. The only way to keep this dog from going nuts is just to hold him in my lap. He's just like
I was thinking about a rumor that I heard that Leslie Kean is a big author in the UFO realm. She wrote a lot of books. She writes about the afterlife as well and about like seances, really wild stuff. But she's really responsible for that 2017 article about ATIP or Arrow, not Arrow, ATIP, or there's some other name for the program. In 2017, this New York Times article came out, and it started the new wave of disclosure, I feel like. Anyway, I heard a rumor that she's in the know, apparently, and she's got shows as well. Apparently, she and a group of other people like her believe that UFOs are visiting right now a lot more because they're going to watch the end of our civilization. That's a rumor about what she believes, that our race or our humanity is about to end, and we're seeing a lot of visitors, and they're just here to watch the show, watch the fireworks.
Well, they're going to be somewhat disappointed because you're not wrong. There is an extinction level event coming. We don't know when. We can't predict it. We just don't know. But most of the researchers that most research that I've done and most researchers I've spoken to, it seems to be there's going to be an intentional culling that we can't stop, and that at a certain point, some of the UFOs will assist certain contactees and some abductees and take them off planet during the event, but bring them back after the events subside, where there will be 10 to 15 years of just pure hell on Earth. But then afterwards is promised the, days of glory, and what is it? The days of milk and honey.
That'd be crazy. That's wild. I'm drawn to that dark stuff.
I mean, it's very doomsayish, but they're also saying that it's going to be something. What did the guy say? Something to the order of 5/8 to 7/8 of the planet's population being extinct afterwards. 5/8 to 7/8, more than 3/4 of the planet's species.
That's pretty wild.
It's already happening, though, isn't it? Well,
Yeah, right,
it's already like half the world wildlife population is dead. It's happening. It's just slowly happening.
No. This event is going to be like 5/8, 7/8 of the populations of everything gone, and then 10 to 15 years of rebuilding, and then the days of milk and honey.
And is the Trump-Gucci administration going to quicken this on some level?
I don't believe so. But
of course you don't.
I know. I don't think he is. A lot of people say he is like dictator. And if he proves not to be one, I will be one of the first ones to join the fight against him. There's no question there. I guarantee you this: if he tries to become like Hitler, come after our guns, he's definitely in for a fight. I'm not giving mine up, not for free.
Yeah. Well, I don't like any of them. Both parties can kiss my ass, and our government can kiss my ass. They don't give a shit about anybody that's going through these UFO experiences. One of them 1 minute saying there are these things, and then the other one on the other side saying there's not. They can all just kiss my ass. I hate them. So
every time I do an interview that gets broadcast live or it stays on the internet forever, I always like to remind the listener that I love America and I love my country. I love every branch of the military. I mean, unless you're in one group of the military and you hate another group, then I also hate that group. But other than that, I'm a patriot. And I would love to work on a UFO problem as well. I can keep my lips tight. Don't worry about it.
And as far as did you see? I just saw American Primeval, that Western series on Netflix. That
I heard about that.
Just basically shows that our whole government and this whole country. I mean, it was just nonstop blood, just violence, just horrible violence, just terrible scalping, and it was accurate on some levels. I'm not going to say it's completely accurate because I don't have a time machine.
They say the same thing about the Mayan times, when the Mayans were at the height of their civilization, that there were like rivers of blood running down the corners of their pyramids.
Yeah, and just what's built on blood's going to die in blood. So, anywho, as far as what about the drone situation? Has there been any new developments on that? I've heard everything from China to hunting nukes to aliens.
Whatever it was, whether it was a concerted effort on multiple people, or it was a country, or it was our country, it was some sort of a test. They were, with those drones, they were trying. I guess they could be testing, civil and military air defense response, and even civilian response to these things. How long did it take for anyone to call 911 before they noticed the things flying around? How many calls were made to 911? How fast did 911 react? Did 911 react? Did police show up? Did fire show up? Did military show up? Really didn't. I don't know if any of that really happened, but I think that's what the test was. They were trying to see how fast people reacted to it, and if they're doing that, that could be a preemption of invasion.
Well, my point with the government and my UFO experiences and them not caring at all on any level that people go through this is to be in your house and have those things happening over your house and something being at your window that's not like anything you've ever known or seen before, and you're in just utter fear of what this thing is. And then during that time, some kind of a possible military agency came out, but didn't speak to me face to face, but kind of showed themselves in mockingly type ways, like the one that floated over the house with the guy in the cockpit that waved and then shot off. And that was intermingled with alien experiences. My problem with it is they really don't really care. I mean, and a lot of these things, they're intertangled in it in secret ways. Like, for instance, Betty and Barney Hill heard Germans spoke from their supposed aliens on the highway when they had one.
I don't think aliens are involved in this particular instance. No, but if aliens, and I know they are, if the aliens are still on this planet, they never left. If anyone thinks they ever left, they never did. But they are probably observing the whole shenanigans with the drones and laughing their little gray skinny asses off. But I do think that there is some sinister. There could be some possible sinister backlash. I don't really think there is. I'm hopeful there's not. But the reality is, if something like that happened, I live in a really small town, central southern Pennsylvania, right above the Maryland border. If one of those things flies over my yard, I've got 3 shotguns and I shoot skeet, and I'm not bad, and I will knock that thing out of the sky if it's directly over my tree line and my property line. Boom. Bye.
God bless America.
I support your ability. I support your ability to shoot it down, but so you do whatever you want. But I think it's under my understanding that, just for the listeners, shooting down a drone of whatever size, it's like a crime, basically. I just don't want anybody to go to jail.
It's not basically. If it falls on my property.
I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're never, because here's the thinking. I'm not agreeing with any of this. Okay, I'm just saying this is what I've absorbed. The thinking is the reason why it's illegal, no matter where it's at, is because they consider that like an aircraft. And I think like if you shoot it down, then it could like fall, it could blow up, it could hit somebody in the head and kill them. But I don't know. I'm not even sure. But I'll just say, if somebody's listening, look this up before you shoot it down. Just look it up, unless you don't care about being arrested and go to jail. But I just don't want anybody to go to jail for something.
As far as I know, the way it goes is, as long as it's not military, you'd be okay. Most of them probably are not. But there are some of the drones that were happening in this drone attack were big. They were big machines. They were not, they weren't something you go to Toys R Us and pick up and then go out and throw a couple of batteries in and you're flying. No, these were like big professional commercial ones. But a small one comes over my property line, I can guarantee you it's someone's privately owned one, and I'm shooting it down, period. I'll pay the $65 fine for shooting my shotgun within city limits, but it's not flying over my property. Sorry, you're not going to peer into my house with your camera and then come by later on and steal my stuff. And guarantee if you do try that and I'm home, I'm going to shoot at you too.
Jay loves Trumple Gooch, and he's going to go to the Trumple Gooch gulag anyway.
I don't care. It's 3 square meals a day, and I get free dry clean clothes every day.
That's Führer Shitbird von Trumpelgooch. So that's my group on Facebook, Führer Shitbird von Trumpelgooch. So I'm probably going too, but that's okay. I don't care.
Jeffrey, check this out. If we do go to jail, they put us in jail. They will be spending, we won't be, because we'll no longer be working because we'll be in jail, but our friends and peers and loved ones and family members will be paying their taxes to keep us in prison, which will be earning us about $45,000 a year each. We don't get to spend any of it, but it'll cost our loved ones about $45,000 in taxes each year to keep the 2 of us in jail per year.
If I could just butt in, I just want to say, I don't like politics at all. I think it's a huge distraction. It's a waste of people's time. Concentrate on going outside and making real connections with people. I don't like that it pits us against each other. That being said, Jay, your story about Bigfoot in Ohio is one of my favorite stories. I've told it to a lot of people. I told it to a park ranger, and the guy's kind of my boss. So he was like, after I told him the story, he was like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because why would I hope he doesn't watch this. No, he won't. I'm anonymous. Anyway, he was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would the Bigfoot be in the middle of like a suburb? And I didn't want to talk back to him because he's my boss. I don't want to argue. We were driving a long trip from some other park, and we were about to park. So, but the reason why, so your sighting happened in a suburb, and it was behind the yard there was like a creek or a canal. So what I
Yeah,
could have told,
we went into the maps and showed the tree line on both sides of the creek between the houses.
so yeah, what I was going to tell him, what I did tell him because I don't want to argue with him, is that makes perfect sense because as a biologist, I know that canals and streams and rivers, they're basically wildlife highways.
It's a street. Yes,
it's a street. So that actually makes it more believable to me. And I didn't want to correct him because he's a park, he's a park superintendent. So you don't want to correct him with their park stuff. But anyway, yeah. So to me, it's funny. I think that Bigfoot was just traveling. It was a suburban area, so he was probably just traveling. He was hungry. He was curious. She or he, and the animals do that all the time.
The impression it was a male, elderly male. Probably if it was in human years, I'd say he was 40 to 50 years old.
Okay.
Of an individual.
Was he stopping by for kid chicken? That's my question.
He could have been the tribal elder. He was checking out the area before the family came through. He wanted to see if any, messed up humans were awake, and he sure enough found some, didn't he?
It's creepy. It's creepy for sure. But we have Carter Bouchard coming on soon, and he's from BFRO, but he's a lot more open with paranormal type stuff. It's a good one. And we'll get the alien stuff. He's coming on soon in March. But is that park ranger or anybody said anything? Has he said anything about Bigfoot that's about his area? I mean, does he believe they exist at least?
I mean, I've asked every park person. I have to warm them up a little bit, but I've asked every park person I work with about the paranormal in the way I can. And it's interesting. So it sounds like within the park system, statewide, Texas, it sounds like there's a lot of land. We're opening more parks all the time. It sounds like the culture doesn't even acknowledge it or talk about Bigfoot or UFO, which is curious to me because those things have to be at those parks. They have to be there. So I'm thinking, what is happening? Are people not reporting it to rangers? Do they report it to the rangers, but then the rangers themselves just don't share the information? They don't want to keep it.
Well, it may also be an education thing. Not a lot of people think right away Bigfoot. So probably most of it is, oh, look, honey, a bear. Oh, yeah, great. Have a cheeseburger. Oh, thanks. And then it's forgotten. So that's probably why we don't get a lot of reports of that kind of paranormal, because I'm of the bend that it is a natural creature. It's not supernatural. It's not interdimensional. It's not extra dimensional. I do believe that there is this dimensional extraterrestrial type of creature that's similar to Bigfoot, but not from our planet. But all these walks through a portal stuff. He's a time traveler bullshit, and he can make your mind go fuzzy. I don't believe all that nonsense about Bigfoot. I've seen the dude. He's not that spectacular, and he smells like shit. Pardon my French.
I gotta ask Wild Trees. I gotta ask Wild Trees just off the cuff. You seen Nosferatu? What did you think about Nosferatu Vlad's swinging ding dong? That was a new one.
I noticed he was nude in a few scenes, and I mean, I thought it was cool.
It was great. It was great. I love that Robert Eggers. I've seen his stuff, everything, of course, and he's doing the Labyrinth situation next from a spinoff of that or a sequel to that movie Labyrinth from David Bowie. That's his next project. But every one of his movies is a masterpiece compared to the shit that comes out now.
I still need to see the Northman. The Northman's the only one I haven't seen yet of his movie. I've seen all the other ones.
It's good. It's worth seeing for sure. Every one of his movies is worth seeing. But it was good. I like Nosferatu. I don't know if you're aware of this, but last week's guest told me about it. James Till, the stuntman actor dude. There's a Doug Jones Nosferatu Symphony of Horror new movie, and it's probably not as good as Nosferatu, but I'll watch it. But Doug Jones is great. He's done a lot of creature feature stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Apian's Labyrinth and Save Apian from Hellboy. But it's called Nosferatu Symphony of Horror, and it's on Amazon. You got to pay a little something, but maybe somewhere else. But it's a new one that I haven't watched yet. I'm gonna check it out. But Doug Jones Nosferatu. But yeah, I like the new Nosferatu. It's really good. Definitely creepy. And I even didn't mind the mustache. When I first heard about the mustache, I was like, oh, mustache, but it didn't bother me. It was appropriate.
Well, I thought the monster. I went sideways. My phone's
flipped over again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I'm on my phone. I got a notification. I'm at 20%. So, But when I get to 10%, I'll plug it in and I'll just use the iPhone speaker, and then I'll switch back. But yeah,
Okay.
as far as Nosferatu, I like this portrayal of Nosferatu. I thought it leaned heavily toward a biological, paranormal entity, like a real life black-eyed children. The way it acted, it seemed very parasitic to me. So the Nosferatu, it seemed like it was like an animal. Like he was an animal. I guess he was infected. I don't know if he was infected by like some other. If he started off as a man, or they leave it very blank.
Something about the devil resurrected his corpse and devil
Okay.
something. I don't remember. Something like that. Something
But
about the devil reanimated the corpse and something.
But yeah, his portrayal was very animal-like, which I appreciated, and it was very insightful. Like it reminded me of how, like I said, some of these paranormal entities, like shadow people, goblins, like little
Skinwalker.
people, skinwalkers, and black-eyed children and black-eyed people. It reminds me of how those real-life stories, how they interact with us, they mess with our nature, they talk to us telepathically. So I like that, and the movie's just gorgeous to look at. Like every shot is like beautifully composed. The dialogue, even though they speak in this weird language, the old-timey language, the dialogue is super easy to understand. It's very clever. I like the plot because the plot was super easy to understand. Like, I guess I'm getting old. I'm like a middle-aged guy. I might be past middle-aged depending on how long I live. But I looked at the plot was easy to understand. Like I was never confused, even though they're talking in an old-timey dialect. Like every single plot point was fleshed out, and the acting was really good. Like everybody, like they perfectly acted the way they were supposed to, and it was just a really clear, easy to follow movie that was super good looking and atmospheric, and it was just badass. I really liked it. Like I said, I saw it twice in theater, once in IMAX, I think. Yeah. Anyway, it was good.
Is there been any other movies you've been tripping out on that much and seeing it more than once? Anything else pop up lately?
I think I saw this.
Slim Pickens.
I saw Gladiator 3 times. I really love Gladiator 2, actually.
Yeah, that was good. It wasn't bad.
I liked it. Some people are lukewarm on it. They think it's okay. I fucking loved it. I mean, I thought it was great. Like, I loved this. I saw it in IMAX. I loved the scope, how big everything was, the set pieces. I thought all the actors were super charismatic. Everybody was like really good in the roles. The plot was very easy to understand. Like I said, I understood every single thing happening. The actor the main gladiator, he was super charismatic. Like he played an everyday guy. Like I feel like I don't know how you couldn't love this guy. He just looked like, his face had this kindness to it. They show him he was like a farmer in the beginning, so he's got this like down to earth, salt of the earth kind of thing. His face, you don't see anything like wrong. He doesn't look like he's got any vanity. He doesn't look like he's a bad person. He looks like just a good, honest guy with a lot of emotions, and so I loved him as the main character. He was a little bit bland, but I like that. I thought maybe that was on purpose. Like the blandness kind of added to the reality of it, because like in real life, a lot of people are a little bit bland. Not everybody's like this super like main character. So that's not an insult to him. I think that was an acting choice. His wife was super hot. His wife was in it for just a little bit. Spoilers, but she was incredibly beautiful. You understand all his suffering. I was like, bro, I understand why you're suffering, man. She was great. She was one of the greatest women, I imagine. A great wife. And I like the scene. I like the scene with the baboons. I haven't done the research, but there's a scene with hairless baboons. They might be too big to be real baboons, but that's okay, because as a biologist, I was like, this is brilliant. I was like, these are an extinct form of baboon. Like this movie takes place a few thousand years ago. I was like, totally possible that back then they had a species of baboon that was bigger and more aggressive, and that it became extinct because it was hunted. Maybe the gladiators killed them all. I don't know. So that made perfect sense.
Well, the legend of the aggressive ape, the carnivorous ape. I mean, we're in the ape family, are we not?
Yeah, sure.
We eat meat, and we're aggressive as hell.
Yeah.
Have you got a hold of that Indiana Jones new game? I really want to check that out. The Circle one. I want to check that.
Oh yeah, that's a game that everybody's praising. Everybody's saying it's an amazing game.
Got to fight, beat Nazis with a whip.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
Because I saw how to use a whip, so I would enjoy that.
You know, it's funny talking about Indiana Jones and Star Wars. I feel like the video games have really saved these franchises. Like, okay, all the new Star Wars movies, I'm sorry, I hate them. All the new Indiana Jones movie after the original two, I'm sorry, I hate them. But if you play this video game called it's called Jedi, no, not Jedi Outlaw, it's called, oh man, I forget what it's called. There's this Fallen Order. Okay, so there's this video game called Jedi
I know
Fallen
it.
Order.
I know it. They're hard.
But
They're
that
kind of
game,
hard.
the plot of that game, Jedi Fallen Order, the plot of that game and the set pieces, that is the new Star Wars movie. That nails everything. Like the set pieces, the aliens, the planets. That is an
It's
awesome.
way.
That's truly.
There's a
that's kinda
sequel
like-
to it too.
Yeah, there's a sequel which I haven't played, but and then so this sounds like that's what's happening with Indiana Jones, because I didn't like the last two Indiana Jones movies, but it sounds like this game is a true sequel. So video games are saving it.
The new show Skeleton Crew is pretty good. It's kind of like kids are in it, but it's on Disney with this new Star Wars with Jude Law.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's better than most of the other crap. A lot better. I mean, it was well made. We just finished that one, but I haven't seen what is the Andor one yet. I've never
Andor's
watched
pretty
that.
good, too.
Yeah, I heard it's good.
Andor's
I
pretty
haven't
good.
watched it yet. But yeah, I agree with you. The newer Star Wars movie didn't do
shocked.
much.
When Skeleton Crew first started out, my girlfriend and I were watching it, and I was like, "Man, this is gonna suck. It's gonna be for like 5-year-olds. Blah blah blah. It's gonna, 15, 20 minutes in, and then like there's laser fire all over the place. I'm like, damn, this is not for kids. I like this already. It's awesome.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I was talking to a friend earlier about how these franchises, what they need to do. So we have these franchises, we keep trying to reboot, we won't let them die, like Star Wars, Terminator, Predator, RoboCop, Jurassic Park, Transformers.
G.I. Joe, all of none of that has died out. G.I. Joe, I mean, just collecting all kinds of new G.I. Joe Transformers comics that are the same universe. So G.I. Joe and Transformers together. They're still doing the Thundercats. There's new Thundercats comics coming out.
Yeah.
So
my idea is, okay, like Terminator. Let's take Terminator. They keep trying to reboot it. They've tried it like 3 times. It's failing. So this is an idea I got from some other random person online years ago, but it's a good idea. So what they need to do, let's face it. They're going to make another Terminator. They're going to make another Predator. They're going to make another Robot. Let's face it. It's going to happen. But what they need to do, I think, is they need to go back and make these sequels a small scale movie, just like the originals. You know, they keep trying to like reboot them and like make it like amazing and big and too complicated. I wish they would just make the next Terminator movie so small, just like a few acts like the original.
It bothers me because Hollywood keeps doing the same stupid mistake. The perfect example is the Star Trek movie. Just like you said, they wanted to make it grandiose and bigger and bigger than the actual entity was. So how did they make the first Star Trek movie? Well, they took Star Trek Phase 2, a TV script, not a movie side script, a TV script for a hour and a half television presentation. That's how long the script was, and they turned it into a 3-hour movie. Well, there's 2.5 hours of just dead space because there's no. They didn't write for the whole 2-3 hour movie. They wrote an hour and a half of a TV show.
Yeah.
You had commercials in the TV show. Now you got a 2-hour premiere.
Now I will say, okay, look, I only love one franchise. It's Jurassic Park. And they've been pretty good to me. I like all the new Jurassic World movies.
I've enjoyed all of them. Yeah,
I appreciate them. Now the new one is coming out this summer. Okay, like let's not get into spoilers because I purposely am avoiding spoilers, but I can talk a little bit about the ideas. So the new one's coming out is called Jurassic World Rebirth. Comes out this summer. Great director, Gareth Edwards, who directed Godzilla, who directed Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. Is it Rogue One? No, what was that Star Wars movie he directed? Maybe it was Rogue One. With the one, it's got Andor in it. Like Andor, the show came from that movie.
I'm pretty sure that's him. Yeah, that's him.
And so it's got Scarlett Johansson, and it looks like it's a small scale movie. I like the director. He's really good. He loves the Jurassic Park franchise. If you saw his last movie that came out, I forget what it's called, but it didn't do that well in theaters. But like, he was like traveling to new locations. He was using new cameras. And so I could tell that this director is cutting edge. He's not older.
Okay, so here's what he's known for: Monsters, Godzilla, The Creator, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, just to name a few. Chasing Childhood is the last one he's done in 2020.
The Creator. So The Creator is the last movie. Visually great. The plot was great. I thought it was a great movie. It should have done more money. But behind the scenes, you see him, and he's on the edge of filmmaking. He's passionate about filmmaking. He's trying new techniques. He's visiting real locations. So that's really promising for the Jurassic World, the new movie, because we got a director who's hungry, and he's not like, hackneyed. Also, it's being written by the original script writer of the first Jurassic Park and the second. And that guy actually talked to Michael Crichton when he was alive. So it's got all these qualities that look really good. They released one picture today. It shows the two main characters, and they're like in a nest, and they're looking at an egg. That, to me, gives me really heavy vibes of the Lost World novel, not the movie, because the Lost World is a sequel to Jurassic Park. The novel was written by Michael Crichton. It's a completely different than what we got in the movie. Both of them are good. But in the novel, it was just a small group of people that went to Site B, and they were looking for... Yeah.
You'll like this. I think you'll like this. If this is what I think it is. Where am we? Is that it? Yes, that's it. Think. This is Gareth Edwards in his movie Rogue One: A Star Wars Story as a rebel trooper who's just about to get force killed by Darth Vader.
Nice. And that's a good scene too.
Huh?
That's a good scene too. They made Vader look like a tiger, like a wild animal, just murdering.
Well, they did him correct. For the first time ever. I mean, come on, with the freaking powers that that little kid had, and now he's like half bionic. George Lucas just dropped the ball big time, like 6 times. He made 6 movies with that dude in him, and he dropped the ball every. All you have to do is go bam, and you just throw somebody across the bulkhead, and they splatter like a damn water balloon. That's how powerful Darth Vader is. He did it right in that movie.
Yeah. So I'm excited. But yeah, so the Lost World novel, basically, it only has 2 small groups of people on the island, and they're both looking. One of them is looking for eggs. It's actually the bad guy. You know the bad guy in Jurassic Park 1, Dodson, the guy with the. So that guy is the main character of Jurassic World Dominion, the last movie, but he's also the main villain in the Lost World novel. So he's a rival genetics company. He goes with a small group, and they're going to steal eggs so they can make their own park. And they have these guns that shoot out sound waves. So that's how they get through the nest. So they point this gun at the dinosaur, and it shoots these like sound waves, and it keeps them away. But anyway, the new picture from the new movie is giving me the same vibes. It's giving me Lost World novel vibes. Because the interesting thing about Jurassic World movies and the Jurassic Park movies, there's been 6 movies. There's only been 2 books written by Michael Crichton, but every single movie has some scenes from his original novel. That's how good his original novel. His original novel had so many good dinosaur scenes that they're being spread out in 6 movies. So it makes sense to me that maybe they're going to take some scenes and some elements from his second novel that weren't used earlier.
Oh, without question. I mean, he was a very prolific writer before he passed, and very good. I looking back when he passed away, I looked through his IMDb page, and I was like, seen it, heard of it, seen it, heard of it, seen it, heard of it. Read it, heard it. Almost everything on his page. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how many things this guy is like. He's like the Stephen J. Cannell of TV, who wrote so many different TV shows. Very prolific writer. Did you ever see his movie Timeline?
I've been wanting to. That's the one I was thinking about.
Read the book first. Read the book first. The movie is terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
Like the book. Read the book first, and then watch the movie and go, oh, that's terrible.
When did they go back? What year did they go back? It's like medieval times, right?
It's like 1560s.
Nice.
I think. And it's France versus England.
Nice.
I do believe.
I
believe there's an English castle in the previous, because they do go backwards in time with this technology from the future, and it's a real battle in time in actual history that he writes through it, and it's very, very cool, very well written. So I heard it on audio CD book, read by David Ogden Stiers, who was Ogden. It was Winchester on MASH.
And I'll be right back. I'm at that 10%, so let me go change out my chargers and everything.
You're talking about the Michael Crichton timeline book, and did Michael Crichton do that?
Michael Crichton wrote timeline.
I've read it and seen the movie. It's just been a long time. Yeah, I love that Michael Crichton. If you read
the book first, you won't like the movie.
Did you ever read Eaters of the Dead?
I have heard of it, but no, I have not read it.
That's the Norse one he wrote. Vikings. There's also the 13th Warrior, the movie with Antonio Banderas. That's,
I have that one in my DVD collection upstairs.
You should grab that book sometime and read it. I could read that one again. Could read that one again for sure. That's the cool. Eaters of the Dead. I think it's kind of a God, what's the Beowulf kind of thing, sort of like a situation or something. It's been a long time since I've read it, but 13th Warrior is good though. I've seen it a few times, but not a while.
Very good, very well done.
Eaters of the Dead. But so I don't know, man. Everything just feels weird, like painful, just uncomfortable.
You're muted. You're muted, Mr. Trees.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
you're muted again. There you go.
There you go. You're good.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. We're back. Well, yeah. Michael Crichton. I was gonna say an inspirational quote about Michael Crichton. I follow his like YouTube page or his Facebook page in honor of him, but it's like his official one. Mm-hmm. And he did an interview and he's like, I don't think I was that good of a writer. He's like, all my success has been because of hard work. He was like, I don't think I'm that talented, but I worked really hard. Like I committed the hours. So that's an inspirational message. Like if this one of the most famous authors, most successful authors in the world doesn't think he's a good one, he's basically saying like, whoever's listening, go out there and just put in some hard work. You could be a great success as well. It's all it takes is hard work.
You ever play the Jurassic Park game? It's like an RTS that's really old. I have it on the
Jurassic Park game, man. Yeah, that's called That's called the Lost World Chaos Island.
Yeah, Chaos Island.
I love that.
I have it on disc.
It's good.
Yeah.
I would build like a huge army of spitters and the T-Rexes or Raptors, and they just attacked the rival group. It had all the original voice actors from the movie, so it was funny. It was good.
I love RTS. That's my favorite. And it's sad it gets such a bum rap on consoles and stuff, but there's so many, There's so many. Age of Mythology. Did you ever check that out? The new one retold. It's a remake of the Age of Empires game, but called Age of Mythology. And it's basically an RTS, but you have the Norse pantheon versus the Greek pantheon, and there's all the gods and monsters, and there's also there's an Egypt. You can be set and have like dogmen people. It's like Age of Empires. You have to build your little castles and shit and all that stuff. And you have spells and you can summon meteors to smash everybody. But they just remade that. It's called an Age of Mythology retold. I've always loved the old one, but the new one looks really good. Definitely prefer that style of gaming to the spree shooters.
Yeah.
Out there that just murder, death, kill.
I have a large video game collection. I think I have about 500 physical games, and I don't even know how many digital games I have, but I love gaming and collecting and just the variety of different games out there.
It's an art form.
Upstairs in my man cave, I have I'm going to age myself here. I have I don't know if it's working anymore, but an original in television.
Nice.
I have part of, and I think I have the rest of it, but I know a part of a ColecoVision system. And with that, there is an attachment for that ColecoVision system, which plays Atari 26 and 5200.
I love 2600 games. They're actually very good.
And then I just got for $70 off of Amazon a It is a what is it? It's an Atari that plays 2600, 5200, 7200, and all of the original coin-op, like original video games, like
Right.
Missile Command, Asteroids, things of that nature.
And did you hear about this just Atari game? I'd really like to buy it and do an episode on my YouTube channel, Biologist Wild Trees. Subscribe on YouTube. But there's this game that came out for the 2600, okay? And it's a game, and basically what it is, it's supposed to recreate the lunar mission. So the way it works is that it comes with a manual. It's like a book, right? And then you plug in the game, and you have to use all the little dials on the Atari. But basically, the whole thing is supposed to closely mimic what it was actually like operating the space shuttle from Earth to the moon. And so that's why the book is so thick. But apparently, that's how you play it. It's a super technical game. And to successfully beat the game, you have to land on Earth on the moon.
Well, if you look at the Apollo 11 movie, or is it Apollo 11, Apollo 13, the one with the Tom Hanks?
13.
Oh, 13. Thank you. When they show what's his name, the pilot who's got the command shuttle pilot, he plays with a joystick that looks just like the Atari joystick. It just has one little trigger on that, and he just goes and just touches it a little bit to make the little reacting thrusters turn off and move the ship. So it looked like, that was the very first. They were actually piloting a spaceship for real in space, going to the moon, but they were using basically what would become video game technology.
Very cool. Now that makes sense then why they would do that. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah.
My favorite old game ever, and this game's interesting because I'm not sure. I think it may have started on Commodore 64, but I know they even have had it on NES or SNES, is Archon. The Forces of Light and Darkness, the chessboard where you play the wizards. And
classic.
That's a classic, and it's just a chessboard game where you can be like the light side has a phoenix and different warriors, and it's a chess game. But in the dark side, I've never understood why they haven't had more games like that one. But they remade it on Steam, and that one's good, but it's kind of like a remake of it. That's nice. But that's my favorite game. I would like to just get that old Nintendo and just buy that cartridge of that. But I don't know if it was on Atari or not, but that's one of my favorites. It was
on PC for sure. They probably ported it to a lot of stuff. I remember playing that on PC when it came out. It was always very impressive. It was very grisly. Like whenever you would get checkmate or whatever it's called. I'm not a chess guy, unfortunately, but whenever one piece would not take out another piece, it was like stabbing, beheadings. I don't know.
Yeah. There's Battle Chess too. That was pretty good. There's an old one with the Star Wars chess. I would like to find that, but I think it's kind of expensive. There's a Star Wars chest. There may be a down. There's so many things that you can find that are old that you can get free now on Abandonware and stuff, and archive.org. And I found an old Vlad the Impaler game that's really old.
This is the thing that I got just a few weeks ago. Is this actually gone down another $3? Damn it. Anyway, but that's what it has: 2600, 5200, 7800 like cartridge games, which it's basically like 3 versions of some of the games. Like there's a different version of that of several games on each of these numbered platforms. But the and more is the coin-op games from the from the 80s that I remember playing as a kid, throwing I don't know how many billions of quarters into. It's kind of fun, but it compared to Xboxes and things we have today, they suck. I was like, I'm playing these and I'm remembering some of them. Like, God, I can't remember how long ago that was, 35, 40 years ago. And we're like, this is great. And I'm playing it now, like, these suck.
Well, this is my top 3 favorite video games. I don't think it's changed. Are Dino Crisis 2 for the PlayStation. I like No More Heroes for the Nintendo Wii originally, and then I like Enduro for the Atari 2600. So Enduro, I don't know if you've heard of this one. You're basically a little car, and you just have to like pilot the road, but there's like road hazards like snow and like rain, and it's
logs and trees you have to jump over. Yeah,
you just gotta But I like it because you get really keyed in. Like I like the kind of games where like you're just zoned in and you're not thinking about other things. Oh, the mortgage or this girl. You know, you're not thinking about that. You're just like plugged in and you're like. So I like that game a lot.
Anybody know who DD is?
Who's that?
It's like,
Oh,
do you see him?
that's Diane. She's just watching the show from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Know what it was. I was like, who was that? I don't care. I'm just making sure it wasn't something weird.
No, it's not.
But
You have to watch the show.
all right. Well, anywho, what's going on? We got about 30 minutes or so. Everything just feels shitty to me. Like something just feels really off. I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable. It's like death. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. If it's going to feel like this all the time, let's just get it over with at this point. Just something just feels really off kilter with everything lately. And I don't know what it is. The things don't feel normal. I mean, do they feel normal to you? Do you think, what the fuck is happening? I dropped the F-bomb.
I feel kind of normal so far.
No, I just feel complete, utter madness like The Shining. That's what
You're
I feel.
going to jail. The FCC's coming right now. They're going to knock my door, not Jay's door. They're going to break your door down. You're responsible.
Go ahead.
Go to prison. You're going straight to isolation for 10 years.
Oh
You
shit!
said it. You're going with me. You did it
As long
earlier.
as we
I
get
blame
three
you.
three
I'm gonna
square
blame
meals a
you.
day, I'm up for it.
It's supposed to catch it, but anywho, I don't know. Do you think something's going on with the alignment of the earth that's causing? I mean, when it gets so cold in Florida, is it because we're just basically in the coldest reaches of space away from the sun and we're like an inch from dying and freezing to death? Yeah, that's what it feels like. And that's another thing. It's been really cold here in Florida, which I prefer it cold compared to when it's hot. But it's been it was 13. That's cold for Florida. 13 is very cold for Florida. Things just feel different when it's cold, I guess. I've noticed the animals acting weirder and stuff like that and just acting crazy.
If anybody's watching and you feel the way you just described, I'm sorry, I forgot. I just blanked on your name. What's your name? Jeffrey. My bad.
Yeah, I forget it too sometimes.
There's a reason why I got sunglasses on. I'll just put it that way. But Jeffrey, if you feel like, if anybody feels like Jeffrey, I'm not talking to you, Jeffrey, but if
1-800-SUICIDE.
If you feel like what Jeffrey described, I recommend you go to your local library. You ask if you could volunteer. They're gonna say yes. They're gonna love to have you there. You're gonna make some new friends. You're gonna get out. I would volunteer at a museum or a senior center, whatever's your thing. But the library is probably the easiest one. You're gonna make some new friends. I would also break my routine. Try something new. Try a new food. Try a new hobby. These things don't have to be expensive, Maybe you need a new job, just try something. Sometimes jobs don't pay that well, but they're super low stress or they have benefits like free food. So if anybody feels like Jeffrey, I recommend go to the library, try to volunteer, shake up your routine, try to get outside, get some dirt under your nails. Literally, I heard that if you get some dirt or you smell dirt, like it's an antidepressant. There's something in the bacteria in the dirt that actually. Same thing with frankincense. Frankincense they burn at certain religious ceremonies. That's apparently an antidepressant. That's why they burn it. So.
And it's liberal sadness. It's what I'm feeling right now. It's liberal. I can't. It's just overbearing. That's what it is. I'm feeling the liberal sadness.
Forget about politics. I said politics are a huge waste of time. I hate them. I don't like how it pits us against each other. That seems like almost by design. I don't like being manipulated that way. Mm-hmm. I think we're all humans. We should all be friendly with each other no matter what.
And at this point, the candidates are like Ted Bundy versus Jeffrey Dahmer is what it feels like. It's like, oh, yeah, I like Jeffrey Dahmer better. Like, which one? They just all suck. But, yeah, I understand what you mean. As far as the state of the world, I mean, it's there's just so much going on, you can't keep up with it. That's part of my problem, too. I have to look at all the right-wing horse shit every day in the headlines. That's part of my job. I have to look at that stuff every day. That's probably why I feel crazy. I have to see it.
How come these
I have
aspects-
to see them jerking off Trump every day in different ways and a various assortment of ways on different radio shows. I mean, they're basically about to crawl up his ass and nest, is what it seems like they're doing. Pretty much what I see in the headlines from the right. But and I see it. It's where I work. It's what I see. So it's probably why I deal with what I deal with. So what's going on with the it's good that you're doing these things, the nature programs and stuff. What's the future of that? And there's any way people can look more into it or help, or you're doing videos, or what's going on? What else is going on with it in the future with the nature expeditions and the nocturnal emissions?
Well, let's see. I mean, really, what I offer, I guess, is like I offer like field experience and expert, because you could do this by yourself. You could go hiking in the woods and look under logs. Be careful for snakes. Be careful for ticks. Anyway, you could go to the trail and you could see bugs, and you could set up a white sheet on your yard and shine a light at it at night. So you could do your own bug safaris and nocturnal insect missions. I mean, I add the ability to like identify things and give you facts. And unfortunately, I'm very limited. I only do it in a certain places. But if you go to your local state park, wherever you live, they probably have a schedule of programs they do. So you probably just have to pay an entrance fee. Unless you buy a yearly membership, you probably just have to pay $5 per person, $7. And they'll have a schedule online at your local state park that has programs, different educational programs. And so you could go there and you could volunteer there as well. You get a lot of benefits. So that's how I would participate. You could do it yourself, but you won't have the knowledge maybe, or you could go to your local state park, look at their programs, and then you could have a guide for just a little bit of money. I'm really tempted to do the summer program in the Rocky Mountains. So there's this research station called the Rocky Mountain Biological Laboratory, and I've been there several years. I did a lot of research there when I was younger. It's one of like the most beautiful places, high altitude. It's like the research station itself is an abandoned mining town, about 7 feet in elevation. Lower in elevation, there's Crested Butte, picturesque ski town. Even lower in elevation, there's Gunnison, pretty nice little small mountain town. But anyway, Gothic, Colorado is the name of the town, abandoned silver town. But they have a summer program for an educational program, just like I'm doing. And I'm telling you, bro, like, oh man, it's magical. Like it's one of the most transformative, beautiful times of my life. Whenever I'm at this research station, it's like this little town that's just beautiful to look at. There's mountains around you. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's a scientist into biology. You make these lifelong friends. It's just crazy. So I'm really tempted. They just posted the position last like this week. So I know the director, and I think I might get the position. It doesn't pay that much, but I'm saying like
Nice.
I know if I go, I'm gonna have the best 6 weeks of my life up to this point. I know I'm gonna make these amazing friends, and I know I'm just gonna be like on cloud 9 the whole time. So I'm really tempted.
It sounds good. I mean, it's good that you're doing this. It's helpful, and we're glad you're on the show to share this. It's paying homage to nature. It's kind of it's shamanic. It's healing to talk about this kind of stuff and to get into these kind of subjects. Did you ever see that Dark Divide movie with David Cross about the insect guy and all that stuff?
Sounds good. That's good though.
Yeah, let me make sure I'm telling you the right name of it. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. I don't know if you got Prime, but
I like
Dark.
it.
You have it? You have Amazon Prime?
I have access to it. I don't have it, but my sister will let me borrow.
That's it. Watch this one, man, as soon as you can. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure these assholes ain't charging for it. It was free to watch on there. Let's go. Okay, yeah. The Dark Divide, based on the story of butterfly expert.
Oh, yeah, I heard of it.
Robert Pyle, who embarked on a dangerous, life-changing trek through one of America's most important unprotected wildlands in the summer of 1995 with Deborah Messing and music by the Avett Brothers. But basically, it's a true story. There's a book. I think I have the audio book on Audible. I'd love to actually listen to the damn thing. And it's a true story, and his wife is pretty much sick from cancer, and it doesn't turn out that well. You could find that out just reading the credits pretty much. But he goes out he gets the Guggenheim grant or some kind of grant of something, and you have to go do field research out in the wilderness. So he goes, and it's David Cross. Mm-hmm. And just say there's some Bigfoot stuff, but it's really good. It's like an independent film.
I didn't know there was Bigfoot stuff. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, there is. You should see it. Get the book too. You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love it.
I know who I'm going to see. I have a friend, and we watch. He's a medical doctor, big skeptic. So we watch a movie together. We're on the phone. The last movie we saw together was Sasquatch Sunset, I think.
Yeah, that was good, but it kind of made Sasquatch look like a complete
Sounds like a really
dumbass.
bad, powerful.
But it was
tequila
well
drink.
made. They looked good. Like the effects and the way they looked was really well done, but it did make them seem kind of like dumbasses. Like, like, but I mean, it was a fun watch one time.
I thought it was hilarious. And to me, that movie, so I saw Sasquatch Sunset. I thought it was funny as hell. To me, it was like, it made me feel this way where like the Sasquatch, the way they acted, it was like all id. It's hard to say, like, it was all like pure thoughts. They acted on their pure thoughts. And so that made me reflect on myself. Because honestly, this may be a wild take, but the crazy ways those Sasquatch act in Sasquatch Sunset is what a lot of us think. So they're just acting how we think. Now we filter everything out and we're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm a human. I live in society. So to me, it was like looking in a mirror. Like when I was seeing these Sasquatch acting ridiculous, it was honestly like looking in a mirror and self-examining myself. Because like I said, I think maybe I'm just outing myself, but I thought a lot of their thoughts, but I just filter them out and build upon them. So I liked it. But anyway, that guy, I think he'd love this other movie. What is it called again? The one with David Cross?
Dark Divide. The Dark Divide. And yeah, you should definitely see it. I need to listen to the audiobook for sure. It was written by him, and now he does like seminars about Bigfoot and stuff. I wouldn't mind getting him on the show, but yeah, it's definitely good. Sad too. I mean, because that's his wife and all that happened, so that's why he goes after she departs and everything. But yeah, it's good. A lot of Tubi good Bigfoot shows and stuff, and the Small Town Monsters has a lot of stuff on Tubi. I've been watching some of that stuff, but a lot of Dogman stuff that they put out on there. And there's a good native Bigfoot documentary on Tubi that's Native American Bigfoot. I think it's called Native Bigfoot. It gets into a lot of the native things and things like that and stuff like that. But no, besides my demeanor, I've had some health issues. I'm fixing to probably have to go to a dentist and get some. I haven't been to a dentist since I was very young, and I've had some bad stuff that's been affecting me. I don't realize how much just something like that can affect you on different levels. I'm probably going to get my damn wisdom teeth removed.
Get the estimate. Get the estimate for how much that'll cost, because it might be cheaper for you to go to a Mexico border town, even with the travel. And I'll go with you. I'll escort you. We'll have a good time. We'll have
That's a fear and loathing in Las Vegas.
We're gonna have a good time.
Well, yeah, let's go right now.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was a pretty good movie, so
I'll be dead in a day.
But your teeth are gonna
yeah, my teeth will be shining bright. So, I mean, what's going on with the little bugs that fly around humping each other all the time? They vanished from Florida. I don't see them anymore. What are they? Kissing bugs?
They're called
little hump bugs.
Love
Hump
bugs.
bugs.
Yeah.
Well, that's a common name, love bugs. I looked it up. I have a story about. I think they're flies. I think they're technically a fly species. But I remember one time I was in Huntsville, Texas, going to college, and we went to this like diving hole. So the water was clear blue, and it was these rocks, and people would go there to practice diving. But I remember it was during their mating season, and there were so many of these little love bugs. So these bugs, their little abdomens are stuck together because they're mating. They're like voyeurs, they're exhibitionists of the insect world. But I remember there's so many of them. I was writing my friend a letter, my pen pal, and as I was writing, I remember they were falling off my arm and into the paper. They were just like everywhere. They're harmless.
Yeah.
But it was. I love the little exhibitionist.
How do you fly around while you're humping?
They make it work. They
do.
work.
It's 4 pair of wings. I mean,
they do it.
They're all over the place. They're weird.
They join by the backside, and somehow they go roto-rooter and just screw and screw and screw.
It's like
fly
them Chinook
around.
helicopters. It's got 2 propellers on each end.
But no, we're talking about comic books. That G.I. Joe Transformers thing, I'm telling you, It's gonna be if they turn that into movies or a show, it's gonna be the shiznizzle. And I hate most of the Transformers movies. I mean, all of them, except for I hear that Transformers 1 is good. There might be another one that's good, but the ones that by Bay and all that, I didn't like any of them.
Bumblebee was pretty good. If you didn't see Bumblebee, you should go see it.
I think I saw it.
I was gonna say, as I'm not a Transformers fan. I mean, I'm not from a childhood. I'm a passing Transformers fan. I can certainly appreciate them. I like that they're aliens. I think the best Transformer movie. I haven't seen the animated ones, but the best one is Bumblebee. And I do appreciate the first Transformer movie by Michael Bay. I like how they go into the alien aspect. After that, it's all spectacle. And honestly, the last two Michael Bay ones are no good. But the first three are entertaining. The first one is the best Michael Bay one, but Bumblebee is the best overall.
Basically, what's happening with Image Comics is Robert Kirkman, the dude that did Walking Dead, and he's done a bunch of other stuff. He's working with Hasbro, and he's doing a comic called Void Rivals, which is like a sci-fi weird thing with lots of aliens. And then it's they're doing Joshua Williamson is doing a G.I. Joe that started. It's about to be on issue number 6. Then there's a Transformers, that's Williamson, or I forget who that is who's doing that. But basically, they're all in the same universe together, and they've made it a lot darker. Like the Decepticons grab Air Force pilots and squish them, and you just see them splat. And it's a lot more. And they did a Cobra Commander little 5-issue series that was really good. And they've made that Cobra Commander just badass in it. He lives underground with serpentine reptilian people that live in a like Shangri-La. They call it Cobra-La. And he's human. He's human, but they're like 10-foot tall reptilian people that he's part of them. He tries to like cause some kind of chaos, and he gets deformed somehow.
I'll tell you right now, I grew up with G.I. Joe in the periphery. This is the first time I've ever been interested in G.I. Joe is right now when you mentioned that reptilian underground thing. I've never ever been.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Right, it's good. But that's a big thing going on with everything. But one of the bigger things going on is EC Comics revival through Omni Press. Like, you know, Tales from the Crypt. They're doing a bunch of Epitaphs from the Abyss, Cruel Universe, and it's kind of like creep show kind of stuff, like comics with different stories that are really crazy. That's a good one. Elijah Wood's about to do High Strangeness, a section of comics that looks pretty like it's going to have a lot of alien weirdness and Bigfoot and stuff in it. It's called High Strangeness. So there's a lot of neat stuff like that. But what's is there any movies you're excited about that are coming out? That's my problem. There's not. Like Nosferatu is it, I think. Is there anything besides Jurassic Park? I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah, that one's coming out.
There's not much. There's just not much to be excited for movie wise lately.
You know, I usually go to movies on Tuesday because it's cheaper, and I just watch whatever's showing. Like the last movie I saw, I had no idea what it was about, but it was amazing. It was called The Order. It just came out a few months ago. The Order with Jude Law, and it had that guy who's in Nosferatu, the main guy, the husband. He was in that movie too.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I haven't heard of that one.
It's a beautiful film based on a true story. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of No Country for Old Men, but it's not as dark. No Country for Men is completely dark. There's no like color in it. You know, it's a dreary movie. I mean, that's really why it's good. But this was like that, but it had a little more heart in it, and it's based on a true story. It's called The Order with Jude Law and that other guy who I forget, who's a good actor. He was in that Mad Max.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult. Yeah, there you go.
He was in Renfield and Nosferatu.
He was in the what is it called? The Menu. That was another good one.
Yeah, that was good. That was worth the watch. I'm trying to.
He's also playing Superman's villain, Lex Luthor.
Oh wow, that's cool. He was pretty good as the younger Beast.
That's true. Yeah, he always gives 100%. So I like him.
Yeah, I wish they'd have done another Jack and the Giant Killer story with him because that first one was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I know.
When it came out.
There's the new show Creature Commandos, a cartoon on HBO. That's supposed to be the start of the whole new DC with James Gunn. And it's basically about a task force of Universal type monsters like Frankenstein and werewolf and vampire in a Suicide Squad type situation where they have to work for the government and do weird stuff. But
Yeah.
the comics are better from what I've seen. It's good, but I'm not that excited about it. Alan Tudyk's in it.
You know what's a really good alien movie that's got a lot of alien stuff in it, like modern day alien stuff, like the stuff that like we were created by another alien race, and it's a really good movie. Is Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3. That
Yeah,
movie
that's good.
incredible as far as just alien concepts in real life. Because I always remember, like, okay, these movies, these Marvel movies, the comics, the original comics were written like in the 60s and 70s. So the UFO stuff was really big back then. So a lot of the ideas that we carry on right now about UFOs, like we were created by another UFO, they're in the Marvel movies, but the reason why they're in modern Marvel movies is because those ideas originated in the original comic books that were back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So that movie, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's got a lot of these ideas. So they go to a planet that's got this hybrid animal people, and it's like an alien world, but it's been created by a creator, another alien. And I don't know. I like that concept.
Did you see James Gunn's first horror movie, Slither?
Yeah, I have seen that one. Yep.
That was crazy as hell, man. That
Very
was his first movie.
Have you seen his other superhero movie called Super, I think? With
Is it
White.
Is it Brightburn? No, that's not.
It's got Rainn Wilson.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. That is really good. I didn't know James Gunn did that.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's really good.
Didn't he do that Dark Superman movie too? He did a movie where there's like a little kid and he's
Brightburn. Brightburn, I think.
Yeah.
I think he did that.
Nobody talks about that movie.
It's a weird one where the guy kind of turns evil, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's an evil Superman story basically, but nobody talks about it.
It's not James. Wait, it's produced by him.
Oh, it's produced by him. Okay.
Yeah, but that was a weird one too, for sure. I want to see Trick or Treat 2. They're finally making that, the sequel to Trick or Treat.
Right.
A long time ago, Brad Pitt brought the rights for a 300 style Vlad the Impaler movie that I don't know what's happened to it, but I wish I would hear something that's supposed to be completely historical, no fantasy. Vlad the Impaler, completely like Braveheart, but Vlad the Impaler situation. So I would love to see that. I don't know if I want Brad Pitt to be Vlad the Impaler. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he might pull it off. I don't know.
I think Brad Pitt's good. I like Jeff Goldblum, Brad Pitt, Sam Neill. I'm just mentioning the Jurassic Park cast, but no, I think those are good actors.
You ever see Mr. Frost with Jeff Goldblum, where he's the Antichrist?
No, that sounds awesome.
Very old, 80s maybe. Look at it, you hunt it down. It might be on torrents or something, but it's kind of an old one. Mr. Frost.
Got it.
And he's the Antichrist in like an insane asylum or something like that. I've seen it, but it's been a while. But what's the one he's in with Cyndi Lauper? That's a weird one. They go to Brazil or something.
Earth Girls Are Easy. He's in that movie.
Oh, that's I've seen that one. It's really great. That one's nuts. Jeff Goldblum. Let me find it. You need to see this one. Let me find it. It's a weird one with Cyndi Lauper and him.
I would love it.
It's called Vibes. 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 And it's about like she's a psychic and a trance medium. It's actually pretty good. It's a funny little watch. Oh, Columbo's in it. Peter Falk.
Okay.
But yeah.
So sign me up. Give me 5 of them.
Kolchak. Did you ever get into Kolchak?
No, what is
The Night Stalker? It's an old show. The X-Files was kind of inspired from. It's old. It's called Kolchak. Kolchak.
Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Yeah, and it's an old show, but supposedly it inspired X-Files and stuff. Like he's kind of paranormal and detective. I could watch him again. It's been a while, but a lot of books and comics about it. But Davin McGarren, I think, isn't that the actor?
Darren McGavin is the lead actor that plays the Night Stalker, Mr. Kolchak. Yes,
it's a kind of a legendary kind of show, But
it's a cult classic for sure.
Yeah. Excuse me. So what's going on? We got about 8 minutes or so. What do you want to talk about? What's your hot vibe? What are you nipping about?
Well, I was going to mention this Skinwalker Ranch story that I heard So
Please.
I've been listening to a lot of Robert Bigelow interviews. He's actually giving a lot more interviews now. Robert Bigelow, I think he's a billionaire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's great. But anyway, he bought Skinwalker Ranch, and he was talking about some experiments he did that I thought were really fascinating, and not a lot of people talk about him. So I think this was when he was really studying it. He was with NIDS, National Institute for Discovery Science. That was his nonprofit organization, and this is when Jack Valet was there, Hal Puthoff. So he gave an interview, and he was talking about some experiments he did that were really, really interesting. So him or his team were directly interacting with the phenomenon, whatever was there. And so the way it would work, they figured out a system, okay? They would go in a trailer in Skinwalker Ranch, and they would set up, I don't remember the details, but they would set up like jacks. You know the old game where you play jacks and you got the bouncy ball? Well, they would set them up like in a certain pattern or something, and it would be in a room, and they would talk to whatever's there, the entity, the Skinwalker. And they would say, hey, do something. And then they would leave. Here's the thing. They would leave the room, and then they would come back in a few minutes later, and then all the jacks would be rearranged. And so that to me was very interesting. It's like they were having direct contact with whatever was there, but it was like shy. Like you have to replicate all these conditions to get it to interact with you, But he said whatever's there, it does love interacting. It loves games. We've also heard that it really does not like aggressive people. Apparently, if you go there, you're like a military guy, you're all tough and you got guns. Apparently, you're not going to have a good time at Skinwalker Ranch. If you go there with this like bravado and this military background and weapons, you're going to get haunted. You're going to have a bad experience with whatever's there. It's going to take you home. So this all these little tidbits are really interesting to me. Like what is going?
Didn't you say
Luke
about
Skywalker and the undead tree that he goes into on Dagobah? Remember
Say
that?
that again?
It sounds like the I don't know if it's a dead tree, undead tree, or a forest tree.
Uh-huh.
But the tree that Yoda makes young Luke Skywalker go to, and he says, "Don't take your weapons; you won't need them." And he's like, "He takes them anyways." It sounds like that. And when he goes in to that forest area with the weapons, more dangerous things come at him.
It does sound like that. Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Were you the one that told the story about the thing wanting to meet Bigelow and he like chickened out of it or something, or got to where it wanted to meet him, the force or whatever there, and then he backed out of it or something like that? Somebody said something like that. I can't remember who, but
I mean, there's a lot of Bigelow. I don't remember that one. I remember another Bigelow story where him and his wife. Unfortunately, his wife passed away. But when he was involved with Skinwalker Ranch, he said he was at his house, so the phenomenon followed him. He mentioned one story. A lot of weird stuff happened to him, but I think he saw a shadow person in his house, in his bedroom. That was weird. That's weird enough. And then another thing was that this was really random. Like he lifted up his pillow, him and his wife or something. Maybe it was his wife. His wife might have been home alone. But they lifted up the pillow, and there was just like a beam of lights, just like there, out of nowhere. And it wasn't like shine, like it was completely dark. It wasn't like shining. It was just like there, like a beam of light. He apparently had a lot of weird stuff happen to him. He's really interested in the afterlife too. He funded a lot of money. Like he did like a contest, so like whoever could write the best scientific paper showing evidence for the afterlife. And a lot of people submitted, and this guy won. The guy who does New Thinking Aloud. What is that guy's name?
Jeffrey Mishlove.
Jeffrey Mishlove won.
I've interviewed him. I interviewed him a long time ago.
Yeah, he's a great. I would love to talk to him. He gets great interviews. I think most of these interviews with the Bigelow are from his channel, Jeffrey Mishlove. But so he's really into the afterlife. I think it's because his son committed suicide tragically at a young age, so that got him interested in.
I was going to ask you that question because I'd heard that I didn't know his son committed suicide. I knew he died or something, but I didn't know how true it was. But there's a great book by Jeffrey Mishlove, Roots of Consciousness, and there's a quote in it that says some stars are indeed deities by an astrologer or some astronomer from back in the day. Some stars are indeed deities, and I've had experiences where it seemed like stars were humanoid shaped, like glowing weird people. That were I saw, and so there's something to that. Not saying all stars are like people, but some are. There's something to it for sure. There's glowy people. I've seen them, sure. But But yeah, anything else about the ranch? We got 5 minutes. Anything else you can remember?
I mean, well, the only other thing is that I've really thought about visiting there. Because it sounds like that's one. I mean, there's a lot of different paranormal hotspots. Like I went to a paranormal hotspot in East Texas where I was doing research called the Big Thicket, and I had a lot of paranormal encounters. So maybe I'm better off going there. The thing is, I feel like if you find a paranormal hotspot, like see, Skinwalker Ranch is not just a ranch; it's a whole basin. There's like 3 different cities and a military base. That whole area will have Skinwalker things. You don't have to go to the ranch. You can just go to the basin, and you will have the Skinwalker experience. Maybe it's a little bit hotter. Also, I heard a rumor. Ryan Sprague, I talked to Ryan Sprague on some show, and he said that he talked to Brandon Fugel, and Brandon Fugel told him that the phenomenon is spreading. So, like I said, it's not just Skinwalker Ranch; it's a whole basin with a lot of little cities in it. But apparently, Brandon Fugel, the owner, he says it's spreading. He said that radius of weirdness is getting bigger. But anyway, I would love to go to Skinwalker Ranch for an extended vacation. I'm talking about a month minimum. I would just stay at a cheap hotel. I would go out at night looking for night insects. That's my cover. Oops. Forget I said that. But I would go and I'd probably see a dog-headed man. And I would be nice. I wouldn't take guns. I would wear a mask. Apparently skinwalkers, they have this dust on them that gets on you. You breathe. You get super sick. The only thing that can save you is like a Native American shaman. So I probably have to become friends with a shaman as well.
There's a dude that Haas Lors. You ever heard of him? You ever heard of Haas Lors or something like that? I've interviewed him. He got attacked by a skinwalker. He's been on coast to coast. I have his book somewhere. It's like a little pamphlet, but it's really, that's what happened to him. Like he almost died from it. Haas Lors, I believe is his name. But he was, the powder happened to him, and he was on the reservation and stuff like that. But definitely some creepy stuff for sure. And have you been keeping up with Beyond Skinwalker Ranch? It's interesting. They're going to those other ranches and having weirder phenomenon happen with the government spooks, the CIA analyst, former analyst and stuff. It's called Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, and they had Chris Bledsoe on there with X-Men neurology helmet and stuff, summoning light phenomenon with Colonel Alexander or whatever the hell his name is, Colonel, one of those spooks. I'm just saying, if you ain't seeing it, there's some spook stuff going on those shows. Especially, there's some government infiltration happening, and they're using that show for a theater to us about this. And they're basically going to these different ranches and crazy crap's happening, and they're showing it on the show. And there's even a Skinwalker show with that John Dover with the police guy from the Navajo Nation. Yeah, that was on Unsolved Mysteries, and they have some Skinwalker interaction that's really crazy and have to leave and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as paranormal shows, those shows are really weird. Like as far as the government being so involved, absolutely, or former government. There's definitely some craziness with it. But give us your links, man. It's always a pleasure. I think you've been on so many times I've lost count. You even beat Micah Hanks out, I'm pretty sure. He used to come on a million times. I think you've been on more than Micah Hanks. He hasn't been on in a long time. But what's your links?
Okay, so like I said, my main thing is my YouTube channel. I have a Facebook page too. Facebook page, and I have a YouTube channel. And so I talk about like UFOs, abductions from a scientific perspective. I talk about biology. That's what I do. I study life. It's a lot of fun stuff. I do gameplay and I do movie reviews. But just go to Google. If you go to Google, or your search bar at Google, or you go to YouTube, type in Biologist Wild Trees. Biologist is spelled Biologist, and then Wild Trees, WILDTREES. Type to Google, subscribe, type it into YouTube, subscribe. And if you want to follow my Facebook page, go to Facebook and type in Biologist Wild Trees, and I have a whole Facebook page. I mostly post like educational memes about dinosaurs and prehistoric life. That's what I like. I engineered my algorithm on Facebook, so I don't get any weird, depressing political stuff or making fun of disabled people. All I get is animals and dinosaurs. That's all I want on my algorithm, and that's all you'll get on my page as well. But yeah.
There's a new one coming out by Obsidian, a game Avowed, AVOWED, but it looks badass. Well,
there's this survival game like Alien Isolation coming out called Jurassic Park Survivor. It happens right after the first movie in the park. You're a scientist that's been abandoned. So that sounds awesome. I don't know if it's going to come out. It might be delayed, but they released a trailer for it. Well, it's a trailer, but it's like it's not in-game footage, but it looks like that's like the dream come true. Your first-person perspective. You're in Jurassic Park right after the first movie happened. All the dinosaurs are there trying to get you. I hope
there's a VR one. There's a VR one of Jurassic Park at some point. There's a Batman Arkham Shadow game that's supposed to be really good on MetaQuest 3. I have to get one year. I want to check it out. It's by the ones that made all the Arkham games with the Mark Hamill and all that in it. But anyway, we got to get out of here. You're listening to United Public Radio 107.7 FM New Orleans. Kitty time. And everybody have a good weekend. We'll see you next week with the guy who's the Energy Magic. He also fell asleep the last show and got canceled. So hopefully he'll be here. The Energy Magic guy that fell asleep and missed the show. That's like the guy that wrote the Afterlife book that died before the show and didn't do the show too. We've had some weird. Yeah, that was. We did a whole show about him later with an editor though, Jim Willis, and honored him, and it was really good. But everybody have a good weekend. Thanks, man. Take care. Be safe out there. Keep us on, updated on the weirdness.
All right, Jeffrey. Bye. Talking to you again.
Later, man. Thank you, everybody. Good night.